Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into a place today that honestly sounds too good to be true.
Oh, really?
It's called the Bushman Café, and it's in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire.
I've heard of it.
So imagine this, okay? You walk into a place, and it's got, like, African busts just hanging out on this super fancy French furniture.
Okay, I'm listening.
Then there's a photo of this Ivorian artist, Paul Sika, right next to a tapestry, like a really old one.
Wow.
But get this. There are chairs in this cafe that, like, belong to former presidents, Houphouët-Boigny, and even Valéry Giscard d'Estaing.
No way. The place sounds incredible.
Right. And the crazy part is, it's not just a cafe, apparently.
What do you mean?
It's also supposed to be a bar, a restaurant, a hotel, a museum, and like a cultural center or something.
All in one.
All in one.
It's definitely a fascinating concept. The Bushman Café really doesn't seem to fit into just one category.
It sounds like it's almost celebrating the fact that it's, like, defying categorization.
That's a good way to put it.
Like it's this living collage of experiences. So let's say you walk in and you head straight to the rooftop terrace.
Right.
Maybe you grab a gal burger.
Whoa, burger.
Gal,
Yeah.
I guess it's like their thing. And there's some Afro house music playing.
Sounds pretty chill.
But I'm super curious about this chef they've got there, Duvel Malonga. He's like a rising star in this Afro-fusion cuisine scene.
Oh, I know Malanga. His food is incredible.
So what's the vibe? Like, what's the experience of eating at this place?
Well, Malanga is all about fresh, local ingredients, right?
Yeah.
But he uses them in these, like, totally unexpected ways. He does this namakuji chicken.
Namakuji?
Yeah, it's this ginger chicken, but it's got this amazing subtle smokiness to it.
Oh, wow.
And get this, he even makes camel steak.
Camel steak, yeah. I've never even heard of that.
Oh, it's amazing. But the experience, it's not just about the food,
What else is it about?
It's the whole atmosphere. The open kitchen, the sounds, the smells, the conversations happening around you.
It's like a sensory overload in the best way possible.
Definitely.
But we haven't even touched on those 8 super cool rooms they have for guests.
Oh, right. The rooms. Each one is totally unique with all this wood, raffia, and stone.
And it all comes together in this artistic way, right?
It's really special. But then the whole experience, it just keeps going beyond the rooms.
What do you mean?
So there's also this lounge bar, and sometimes it turns into a concert venue.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah. And then there's like a conference room, and they have an area where they exhibit art by local artists. They even have a yoga studio.
This is blowing my mind. So, hold on. There's even more. Like a sauna, a gym, and a pool with sand from some coastal town.
Yep.
You could literally spend days there and never get bored.
I know, right?
So, who is the genius behind all this? Who dreamed up the Bushman Café?
So the mastermind is this guy named Alain Cablan-Pourquet.
And who is he exactly?
Well, let me tell you, he's a character.
What do you mean?
He's a diplomat, a total art fanatic, and a collector. He's been collecting art for over 20 years.
Oh.
And he's an artist himself.
Get out. What kind of art does he do?
Well, there's this big charcoal drawing of a plant scene that he did. It's displayed pretty prominently at the cafe, actually.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's more to his story, right? Something about connections to, like, important people.
Oh, yeah. So he's actually the nephew of former Ivorian president Laurent Gbagbo.
Wow.
And on top of that, he's the son of this poet and playwright, Niangoran Pourquet.
It's like history, art, and culture are all just part of who he is.
Totally. And you can really see those influences all over the Bushman Café. He got a lot of inspiration from Fela Kuti's Shrine Club,
Yeah, the legendary one.
Yeah. He wanted to make a similar kind of space, like a haven where artists, journalists, and what he calls nomads could connect and share ideas.
It's like he's creating a community.
Exactly. And he really envisioned it as the opposite of those, like, super polished, conventional places you see in Abidjan.
So it's deliberately different.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, some people might just look at it and think, oh, that's just trendy. But I feel like there's something way more intentional going on here.
Oh, definitely.
Like a deeper purpose behind this whole vision, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It's way more than just some trendy thing. It's like almost like Pourquet is making us rethink how we separate things,
Yeah.
Art, conversations, even just experiences. They don't all have to fit in their little boxes.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And you were saying there are no labels on the art in the cafe.
Nope. No labels, no display cases. It's like he wants people to really get up close and personal with the art.
Makes it more accessible, right?
Definitely. And it's not just about being accessible. It's about making you think. He'll put something like a power stick, which is super culturally important, right next to where you might be eating dinner.
Seriously.
Yeah. He wants to bring together the everyday and the extraordinary. But you know what? It's actually caused some problems.
Problems.
Yeah. Some of those really valuable pieces have actually been stolen from the cafe.
Whoa, really? I mean, obviously stealing is wrong, but it's kind of crazy that the art is so accessible that people could just, like, walk off with it.
I know.
It really shows how different this place is. It's not like a museum where the art is behind ropes and you can't touch it. At the Bushman Café, it's part of your experience. You live with it.
Exactly.
And sometimes you maybe wrestle with it a little bit, I guess.
That's one way to put it. It's definitely a bold move on Parquet's part. Some people probably don't love it. But it shows how much he wants to change the way we experience art. And that goes for his approach to style, too. He mixes all kinds of art at the Bushman Café. American, African, Asian, Europe. It's all there.
He's not limiting himself.
Not at all.
Yeah.
He'll put a Japanese figurine right next to an African statuette, for example. He wants to show how different cultures can come together.
So it's like he's creating this visual tapestry.
Right.
Showing how cultures are both unique and interconnected.
Exactly.
You mentioned that he even rearranges the displays every few months, too.
Oh, yeah, he does.
Why is that?
He just loves to play around with the art, you know? He'll find these surprising connections between styles that seem totally different at first glance. Like he'll find a similarity between Art Deco and traditional tribal designs. And he loves to get local artists to reinterpret famous European masterpieces.
Wow. So it's not just a static collection. It's constantly evolving.
It's a conversation between the past and the present, and between cultures from all over the world.
I love that. I'm curious, though, how has this unique approach been received in Abidjan? Has it resonated with the local community?
That's a great question, and it kind of forces us to think beyond the cafe itself. Because the Bushman Café isn't just a place you visit, you know? It interacts with the whole community around it.
So Porquet's vision has expanded outward. It's not just limited to the walls of the cafe.
Right. It's become a place where emerging artists can show their work, where intellectuals and creatives can get together, and where cultures can mix. It's like a ripple effect going through the city.
I remember what you said earlier about Philip Kuti's Shrine Club. You know, how Kuti used music to make a statement about society and politics. Do you think Porquet is doing something similar with the Bushman Café? Using art and this really unique space to get people talking and thinking differently?
I think that's a really interesting point, and it raises a really important question. How do you create a sense of community in a city like Abidjan?
Especially in a city that's changing so quickly and is known for being so modern and globalized. It's like there's this tension between preserving cultural heritage and embracing the new.
Right.
But it seems like the Bushman Café is showing that you can do both. You can honor the past and look towards the future at the same time.
Absolutely. And the way it does that is by creating a space where those conversations can happen naturally, you know, just through shared experiences and a genuine appreciation for different cultures. It's not about telling people what to think. It's about giving them a place to explore and discover.
I'm really starting to understand how this goes way beyond just being a trendy place.
It's a statement, a cultural experiment. Maybe even an example of how we can rethink urban spaces to be more inclusive, more engaging, and just more creative.
And that brings us to a really interesting question. Is the Bushman Café just a one-time thing?
Yeah.
Or is it a sign of a bigger change in how we think about art and culture? You know, what role do they play in our lives?
It really makes you think, doesn't it? I mean, we live in a world where everything is so specialized.
Right.
Coffee shops, art galleries, restaurants, hotels, they all have their own little categories. But the Bushman Café is kind of blurring all those lines.
Yes.
So maybe it's giving us a glimpse into a future where things are more fluid, more integrated.
It's definitely possible. And what's interesting is that this is happening in Abidjan,
Yeah.
a city that's often seen as like a symbol of Africa's modernization and growth.
Right.
It challenges the idea that progress means losing your cultural identity or your artistic side.
It's like they're saying you can have both.
Exactly. You can have all the modern stuff, the skyscrapers and businesses, and still have these vibrant spaces that are all about creativity and community.
And I think that's what makes the Bushman Café so fascinating. It's not rejecting progress, it's just redefining it.
That's a good way to put it. It's saying that progress includes things like cultural richness and art. And it's not just about the big picture stuff.
Right.
I'm also thinking about what this means for individual artists. He said that Porquet is really into showcasing local talent.
He is.
So the Bushman Café is giving these artists a chance to, like, get their work out there.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not just about giving them a place to hang their art.
What do you mean?
It's about the context.
Okay.
Imagine you're new artist in Abidjan, right? Your work might end up in a gallery.
Yeah.
But at the Bushman Café, it's suddenly next to a tribal mask and a Renaissance painting,
Right.
and maybe even a modern sculpture.
Wow.
That kind of mix can be so inspiring both for the artists and the people seeing their work.
It's like art becomes part of everyday life.
Exactly. And I think that accessibility is key.
How so?
It makes art less intimidating, less exclusive. It lets people engage with it on their own terms, ask questions, share their thoughts.
So it's a more personal experience.
Exactly.
Well, as we wrap up this deep dive into the Bushman Café, I'm left with a real sense of possibility.
Me too.
It's more than just a cafe, it's a statement, a cultural experiment,
Yeah.
maybe even a model for how we can create a more enriching and connected world.
And as all of you listening think about this, we want to leave you with one last thought.
Okay,
What if the magic of the Bushman Café isn't limited to just that one place?
I like that.
What if it inspires other places like it to pop up all over the world?
Wow.
Spaces that celebrate what makes their communities unique while still fostering that sense of shared humanity.
That would be amazing.
Places where art, culture, and hospitality all blend together to create something beautiful and meaningful. The possibility is there. It's just waiting to be discovered.